Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Shameless Freedom Podcast. And today's episode is about a confession. And I have to be honest and say I'm not sure exactly where this message is leading, but I felt called to come on and share because I think that women can relate to this in many different ways. And so, what I want to first share with is I have been doing this work for years and diving into sexual healing and the depths of this work. And yet, at the same time, I was not in a place of making the difference that I truly wanted to make in this lifetime. And I had done the work, done so much of the work, so much of the healing. And yet there was a piece of me that something was clearly still missing, or that next layer of healing was still there. And for the longest time, I have dove deep into my dance practices, my self-pleasure practices, my embodiment practices to live that fully embodied life. And I have experienced aliveness and turn on in my own body without a partner. And I have experienced that aliveness and turn on with a partner. And I like to say that you don't need a partner in order to create that aliveness and that turn on. You can do that on your own. And the best experience, really, in my opinion, is when you have both, when you can learn how to create your own turn on. And you have that partner who you can share it with as well. It's like the juiciest, like sacred connection because you have that sacred connection with yourself and with your partner, and it's so juicy and exciting. And and I had that for a period of time. And when I came back from Italy, um, made some decisions in my life that um, I wanted something different. I wanted something more in my life than what I had. And I broke things off with a man that I was with. And in the process, what I realized is I shut off my own pleasure. I actually shut off my own aliveness, the thing that I teach, the thing that I am so passionate and alive about. I shut off. And I didn't intentionally know it. I didn't sit down and say, I'm shutting off my pleasure. I wanted to be in a space of, I don't want to say celibacy, but I wanted to be in a space of healing, of releasing and no contact and not being with an individual so that I could move through additional stages of my own healing process. However, what I realized during that time frame was that I actually shut off and suppressed my very own aliveness. And not only that, that's the thing I teach, right? So here I am on social media, on networking, etc., talking to women about embracing their desire, embracing their turn on, their pleasure, etc. And there I was, hiding it. And I didn't realize this for, I don't know, maybe about a year. Um, and it's not like there was no pleasure at all. It was just not a consistent turn on. Um, there were times that I did my dancing and participated in other group dance components, etc. And yet, I still shut my light off, basically. Um, and what I realized was two things. One, I I shut my light off because I didn't want to remember and be turned on by the old man, I was the old man, but my old partner, because I wanted to release that energy from my body and did not want to keep going back because it was painful to think about him and the memories and all of that. And so I shut that piece off. And then there was opportunities and ideas and thoughts that said, well, hey, you know what? It's okay. It doesn't have to be him. Like there can be another partner. There can be another man. And I remember being at a dance event and just meditating and just being present and listening. And my body did not want another friends with benefits partnership. My soul was yearning and aching for a partner, someone who I could experience this turn on with, this aliveness with, this sharing of life. And so, again, not only did I shut this off for the specific man, I also shut it off because I didn't want to just attract a one night stand, a fling. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't want it to impede on my ability to call in my partner, to call in what I wanted in my life. And as I sit and reflect on this awareness, it it makes me relate back to so many of the listeners here that you may be someone who has never felt your turn on. That's one thing. But you may be someone who has felt it. You used to be hot and sexy, and it used to be fun and whatever. Like you allowed yourself to be that. And then for some reason, you shut it off. And again, it's not an intentional shut off. It's a gradual shut off. And you're living your life. You're being a mom, you're being a dedicated worker. You are living your life and you feel this numbness, this emptiness, this whatever, but you're not thinking that it's because you shut this off. You're not even realizing you shut it off. You could be someone who's in a similar situation as me where you don't want to think about somebody because you don't want to like go back there. And it's easier to shut it off than to use it and turn it back on. And as I was just reflecting on all of this, like there are times where we turn it on and we turn it off. And it's important for us to understand that power. We have the power to turn it on and to turn it off. We have the power to choose. how we're going to use our aliveness, how we're going to use that sexual, creative, life force, energy, and power, and not let it control us. And if there is that fear or shame of some sort of it controlling us, there's something else for us to heal in that space. And for me, even though I have done the work, I've moved through so many things, I can help women grow and heal through their own traumas and beliefs around their body, their pleasure, their sensuality, their sexuality. There was a piece of me that shut it down too. And I know better. I teach this work. And I'm sharing this because I want you listeners to understand that it's okay to shut it down and to know that you've done that. We did it for a reason to protect ourselves. To protect ourselves from what specific thing is going to be different for each person that is out there. And then there also comes a time to realizing when that protection is no longer serving. And for me, when I realized that had shut off my pleasure, and yet this is what I'm meant to teach, it's like my whole body went into this. I'm trying to think of what the word is. It just kind of decided that it needed a change and to then move through that and to realize that our bodies were made for pleasure and to bring that back in and to not be afraid. And here's the thing, for me, I didn't realize what I was afraid of in regards to this light and this radiance coming back on. And when I think back to the things I can see in front of me, right? They make logical sense. And yet at the same time, there's still something deeper underneath it for me to work through. And there was some sliver of something that was stopping me not just from owning my pleasure, but from stepping fully into this business, this work. And that is a piece that was stopping me of knowing the power of this work, but yet having shame for being someone who teaches this work. It was one thing for me to move through my own stuff, but for me to get paid to teach women how to own their sexuality, their eroticism, their radiance, their mysticism, their captivatingness as a woman. There was something culturally, religiously wrong with that. The shame buried in the cells of my body for teaching this work was still living within me. There were many times people wanted to call me the sex lady, and it triggered me. And I love talking about this topic. Anybody who meets me out and about knows I'm all about talking about pleasure and the body and sexuality and owning all of this. And it's not about sex. It's so much deeper than that. And yet, there was something about me that was off. I didn't know it. I didn't realize that there was still a part of me that was buried in this generational, or I would say centurial. I don't even know if that's a word. Shame. Because years ago, women were shamed for being courtesans, for living the life of a radiant, captivating woman. They were not only shamed by the women, they were shamed and condemned by the church, that this is not who you are meant to be, that you are wrong to be this. You are wrong to take money for being in the sexual power and having men come after you and to use your temptress energy for men and their pleasure. It's like, holy shit! The layers upon layers of growth in depth and healing. Huge. And I'm here to share that now that I know that, I am deciding different. I have released this centurial shame around this work and being bad for not only making money, but making money talking about sexuality. And by going through this, I feel like it has given me a deeper appreciation, not just for myself and what I've moved through, but a deeper appreciation for so many women who have just lost their libidos. They've just lost that sexuality, that aliveness. They don't know why. They used to have it. It used to fuel them. They loved it. And then something happened. Either they became a mother, they lost their partner. Um, who knows? It doesn't matter what the situation is. But there's still this void. And it's not about taking some pills. I mean, we don't have Viagra for women, right? There are other things there from a hormonal perspective and pellets and all sorts of things. But that also doesn't get to the root issue of what is stopping you from living that turn on. Because your turn on is not just for feeling your libido so that you can be intimate with your partner. That's one piece, absolutely. But there's this other piece of your turn on, your aliveness. Being able to use that on a daily basis for creativity, for life, and not just intimacy. And I want you all to know I feel you. It's in a different way because I lost it too. And I fucking teach this work. And I believe I needed to go through this to, well, not only heal that piece for me, but to relate to all of you in a new kind of way. Because, 10 years ago when I started doing this work, I was so fucking clueless. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so shut down, so turned off, so um broken that I didn't know what to do. I was curious. My decision, my desire, and my curiosity allowed me to move through and heal those pieces. And there was still shame I moved through, so I get that there's fear, there's doubt, there's guilt, there's shame. And at the same time, I want to invite you to know that there is so much beauty and abundance and healing on the other side because this truly is our source of power. It really is. And when we can know it and be surrounded by other women who own it and know it, it's a different experience. And I want to invite you into space with me to feel my energy, to feel my transmission. You see, attending an event or doing work with me is not just about doing the homework. It's about experiencing the transmission that comes through the experience and the depth of wisdom and knowledge that comes through over a decade of doing this work. You are going to notice a difference when you are in someone's energy who not just knows this work, believes this work, but has lived through the multitude of layers of growth, right? This is not taking courses at a college and being intellectually knowledgeable about something. I have moved through sexual trauma by my grandfather as a little girl, teenage date rape, pregnancy, miscarriage, divorce, owning my pleasure, being with different men and experiencing a variety of different um, lessons along the way. And all of the certifications and programs and healing and practice work that I've done with women over the years. And now moving through this owning that there's no shame. We're getting paid to do this work to help heal other women, right? Like it adds this other layer of passion around this topic. I have been wanting to do this and to help change women's lives for years. And at the same time, held shame around taking money for it because it made me a slut or a whore to be paid for doing this work. It's one thing to do it for me, but another thing to become rich and wealthy and abundant by teaching other women how to own their sexuality and their eroticism, and to create more of those women in the world who were shamed years and years ago. This new knowledge changes everything. It changes the power that is behind this work. It changes the transmission behind this work. Because I know in the deepest level of my being, this is the transformational work. Where our freedom lies, in our eroticism, in our sensuality, in our magnetism and our radiance. And I want every woman out there in the world to know this, to feel this, to experience this. This is not just for the rich and the wealthy. No, this is for every woman out there who wants more for her life, who wants to stop feeling numb, who wants to stop living in this emptiness and to fucking feel alive, to feel that radiance, to feel not just seen, but desired, to feel it in their body, what it feels like to be sexy, to be erotic, to be radiant, to be in the fullest expression of who you are. And that, my friend, is when you will attract all of what you desire in life. And if you want more of this, I invite you to Shameless Freedom. This is going to be an event that will rock your world. You will experience what it means to live in your turn on. You may feel your turn on for the first time in your life, and you may feel it turned on after it's been shut down for so long. It doesn't need to be. You don't need to tame your sexual energy and your erotic energy. It is for you. And I will help you learn how to tap into that for you. Heal the things that get in the way of you wanting to step into that, fearing if you are too much, you're going to be taken advantage of. I get it. I understand. And I'm here to hold space for you to move through that. If you are ready to say yes, if you are ready to move through this transformation, I am here, heart and soul, to support you in this journey where you can become liberated. You can become free to live the life that you desire, knowing and believing and trusting that owning your sexuality is the key to freedom.